Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I just got back from Ray's. I had a blast. Super fun. This year, I decided to bring my Lowside as well as my BMX bike. And what's really cool about it is I can really talk to you a little bit about the drastic differences between the two bikes and kind of how they ride a place like Ray's, because the low side, as much as it resembles a BMX bike, isn't quite a BMX bike. It's way more mountain bike than it is BMX bike, believe it or not. I mean, it's got 27.5-inch wheels with 2.8 plus tires on it. So which 2.8 plus tires are getting pretty close to a 29-inch overall diameter. So when you start thinking about that, it's going to have a much longer wheelbase and so on and so forth. Some of the advantages of the low side over a lot of, say mountain bikes, especially modern geometry mountain bikes, is it has a quicker head angle. It's got a 70-degree head angle with the surly fork that comes with it, rigid fork. If you threw a suspension fork on there, you would definitely slacken it out, and then it would fall a little bit more closer to more modern geometry bikes, similar to like my Esker Hayduke and so on and so forth. But with that stock surly fork on it, it's much a quicker handling bike, which is actually a huge advantage in a place like Ray's, because slack bikes and long wheelbase bikes and all of that, great for downhill, not so great for tighter transitions, like a lot of the jumps and pump tracky stuff and things there. So I'm going to show you some clips here of the low side. The first thing I'm going to show you is this clip of me doing the pump track, and just check this out. It was really good in the pump track. I mean, it's a fully rigid bike. I did pump the tire pressure up to around 30-35 psi to really firm up the tire. So I didn't have them at my softer, like off-road pressure that I would run those tires if I was riding outdoors on single track. And that firmer pressure really helps when in the pump track, because then the tires aren't like compressing and stuff. You want them to be firmed up. So if you ever do ride Rays on your mountain bike, firm up that tire pressure really firm. Don't keep them soft and squishy. Even saw a couple of people on fat bikes and they left the tires all soft and squishy, and it's like, like, no, don't do that. All right, here's a pump track clip of me on my low side. Check it out. I'm able to rip through there pretty fast, and it was a lot of fun. Pump track on the low side. So then after that, I went over, there's a beginner, like kind of skills skinny area, and I played around in there. And here's a clip of me successfully making the kind of the hardest line through that little skills area. Pretty cool. Longer wheelbase on the low side, so I have to like kick my back wheel out and stuff to really make those tight turns. So you'll see me kind of pause. You might see a little bit of jerky movement. That's me kicking my back wheel around to make these tighter corners. So go ahead and watch this. Pretty cool. This area is fun, and it's great for people to learn how to ride these kind of skinnies and tight sections, because if you fall off, it's low consequence because you're really not that high off the ground, right? So it's pretty cool. Check it out. So now I'll show you a series of runs through what they call the super sport section. It's actually just a whole bunch of skills things and little wooden platforms and skinnies and just lots of cool things, but there's tons of different lines through there, some more challenging than others, and it's just a really cool area to play around with. So I'll go through a few of those clips from my riding my Lowside. Later on we'll see me do similar things on my BMX bike, and I'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two bikes, but I'm focusing on the Lowside right now. So yeah, check out these clips. This area is super fun. I mean, I spent a lot of time riding through this area, both bikes. I loved even riding it on my BMX bike. So I think this is a teeter. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it is. Oh, pretty easy. Oh, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm making guesses. Let's try this one. Skinnier one? Oh boy. Oh, I was scared. Scared. Then go to the right. Yeah, I didn't clean that skinny part, but everything else I did. See if I can do this table again. I didn't realize it was there. There it is. Kind of. Oh gosh, what's this? You can go this way. I have no idea where this goes. Oh. Over these. And then they have what's called the mini rhythm, which is part of the super sports section. And they also have the pump tracks thing. Listen to my comments when I'm in the pump tracks thing, or actually both times. You'll hear me talk a little bit about how the bike is pretty big for being in these areas. And that's the truth there, especially that pump tracks. It's TRAX. You'll see that the logo's all over, but it is really tight. And near the end of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my run through there on my Lowside, and then right after I'll show you my run through there on my BMX bike. But I'll do that later, so I'll probably have this clip in here twice. But hear what I'm saying as I go through these sections. The Lowside is a long bike for these little jumps. So the Lowside is not very good for this stuff because it's just too big of a bike. And when I try to talk on these jumps, I buzz my butt on my tire. Whew. So yeah, you can hear me talk a little bit of how the bike is like too big for these areas for the tighter transitions, especially in that pump tracks section where I'm coming down and having to really pull and pop off the tabletop lip. And then what you have to do is you really have to tuck the bike and suck the back end up and nosedive into the landing to really keep your pump going. Well, when I do that, the back tire wants to buzz me right in the woo, right? So it's just a lot of bike for that kind of riding. Where it really shines is over in the skills area, riding all the little boardwalk things and skinnies and stuff. Really fun over there. It does really well at the pump track. I loved it riding the pump track, especially when I had the pressure up higher, things like that. So the last clip I want to show you is I crashed, and the reason why I want to show you this clip is this is what happens when you get kind of complacent. This crash happened because I was riding this area and there was a wide platform with a corner in it, and I was just too relaxed, too complacent, and not really thinking, oh, I need to make sure I go wide so my back tire doesn't slide off or whatever, and I was just getting too relaxed. And then when I started to crash or started to slide, I kind of was like, oh, I'm just going to try to pull out of this. Well, suddenly everything just went wrong, and I went over the side and fell over and then kind of landed on the next platform and whatever. I didn't get hurt at all. I could have gotten hurt. Or there could have been another rider on the other platform that I fell into, but I didn't, luckily, and I had my helmet on, and I did hit my helmet on the piece of wood on the next platform over, and it made my visor come down or whatever. So very important to be wearing a helmet because I had a helmet on, and they require helmets at Rays, but even if you're out riding by yourself somewhere else, wear a helmet because you just never know what's going to happen. I'm a pretty skilled rider, and you hear me kind of surprised that I fell. Listen to this. Watch this. Maybe go over these rocks. What? How did I do that? Okay, so I'm going to just show the rest of my Lowside riding here. First, I'm going to show you following my friend Bergie, who rode the pump track in front of me, and I just did some follow cam of her. And then I'll show you kind of some clips of the general run through of the loop that they have through the whole park. And so I'll just go ahead and run that all the way through, and then we'll go to my BMX bike after that. So yeah, just check out the place. I mean, it's just such an awesome place, and I know I've done videos on it before a year ago when I was there, but fresh content. Check it out. Super fun. All on the Lowside still. That was high. You must want a new faucet. That was like way up in... Didn't clean that. Oh, you're on. Okay. Oh gosh. Ugh. Lowside. Oh, almost. I just gotta go faster. Get a breather before I do the drop. Oh, jeez. So here I convinced Bergie to try the teeter. She was a little bit of afraid of it, and I had to like convince her that it was pretty straightforward. And so I went out to film her, and she went so fast. I don't even know if I think she just kind of like launched off of it a little bit. But it was pretty funny. She just charged at it. And so here's that clip. They're going fast. Jeez. Okay, now we're gonna shift over to my BMX bike. The pump track was the first thing I started riding. It's a really good place to start warming up and really get a feel for the bike. So after riding my Lowside a bunch, I wanted to get used to my 20-inch bike. Quite a bit more twitchy, quicker handling. But for me, I really enjoyed my BMX bike. I rode my BMX bike about 75% of the time, my Lowside about 25% of the time, because once I got used to my BMX bike, I just loved it. It's like the perfect bike for a place like Ray's. For Ray's, there's two types of bikes I would recommend. If you are a BMXer or have a BMX experience, I would recommend riding a BMX bike. Last year I had a 22-inch BMX bike, worked great. This year I had my 20-inch DWA, works awesome. But if you have a DJ bike or you're a mountain biker and you want to go there and you don't have BMX experience, definitely a DJ bike. 26-inch DJ bike would be what you should ride, or either one. But a BMXer could go to a DJ bike easily and love Ray's. Somebody who doesn't ride a BMX bike much or doesn't have much experience on one, I don't recommend it, because they take some higher level of skill. They're much twitchier. You have to have a lot more bike control to ride them. But if you do have that BMX background, they are so fun because they're so maneuverable. And so here we go. Pump track. I take the left line on this run. There's a set of like 3 little tabletop jumps, and then I go into the rest of the pump track. As we're doing those 3 little tabletop jumps on the Lowside is just not really well designed for those kind of jumps. So here's a run of the pump track on my BMX bike. So now I'm over in the skills area again, that super sports section, riding my BMX bike, playing on all the little, boardwalks and skinnies and stuff. And there's a skinny that I tried to do on my Lowside and I struggled with it and I slipped off. And on my BMX bike, I did no problem. So it seemed easier to ride like those skinnier planks and stuff on my BMX bike or to make the corners. But then right after I ride this little skinny thing, I have to go over these rocks. And the rocks for the smaller diameter wheel are much more rugged. So you have to know how to like pick up and move the bike through there. It's not going to just easily roll and ride over these rocks. So there is a difference. There's also a difference in gearing between the bikes. My Lowside is more around a 55-inch gear ratio, which is kind of more of a traditional standard single speed gear. My BMX bike, I'm running a 28 9 tooth on it, which is more like, I think it's a 62 63 gear inches, so it's a lot harder to pedal. So in these slower situations where I have to try to get through something, it's a pretty hard gear to get through some of this stuff. So here's me, a bunch of different areas of this skills area on my BMX bike, just having fun. Oh, can I do this skinny board? Sure. And all these rocks suck. Oh. Then let's go here, over that. Right here. I don't know. This way? Oh, this seems pretty straightforward. Oh! This looks cool. There we go. Onto these rocks. Sport. Kind of fun. Okay, so now for that micro rhythm section on my BMX bike, to me it's very evident that I'm much smoother on my BMX bike, much easier to pump through and ride those little jumps. And then after I go through the micro rhythm section, I go over to that pump tracks one, which was is, which I really struggled with on the low side. I talked about how I tucked and I'd buzz my crotch with the rear tire or whatever. No issue on the BMX bike, so I can pop and really get in that nosedive and really get that good pump in between. So it made that section so much easier. So yeah, let's watch those clips. Through the micro rhythm. Oh. You hear, if you could even back it up if you didn't hear it, but when I go around the big 180-degree berm, you'll hear a little squeal of my brakes. My BMX bike, because I'm pumping so hard, I'm actually going really fast through that berm, and so I needed to scrub a little speed just so I wouldn't overshoot the next tabletop as I come out of that berm. There's a little pump roller, which I knew I could do to make sure I get over that next tabletop, so I tap the brake. So it's just because the BMX bike is so well designed for this kind of stuff, and it's just the ideal bike for it, I could just really push and pick up speed pumping it through there. So I'm gonna do the profile room now. My best run on my BMX bike in the profile room. I didn't even take the low side to the profile room because I knew I wouldn't like it there. Just not the right bike design for these kind of jumps and stuff. Transitions are pretty steep, pretty big. You really need to nosedive it in on the landings to keep your speed up and stuff like that. But here is my BMX run, and then after this, I want to do that comparison in that pump track section that I just talked about between the two bikes, and you'll just see a very stark difference between how smooth it is that I get through there. I'm gonna wait. Oh, he's going over there. I just wanted to wait for that kid.
Okay, go. You go first. You're faster than me.
So here we go, back-to-back footage of the first the low side, and then I'll do the BMX bike. And again, I talked about that brake squeal. You can hear it on my BMX bike as I come around that big berm, because it's like I had to scrub some speed because I was going super fast, and it's like I didn't want to overshoot anything. Low side, it's not very good for this stuff because it's just too big of a bike, and when I try to tuck on these jumps I buzz my butt on my tire. Whew. So there you have it. That was my weekend at Ray's. It was super fun. If you're interested in knowing how I had my stuff set up, I did have the Hero 11 Mini mounted to the front of my helmet. So I feel like the footage is a little bit better. I mean, I do like the chesty footage with the handlebars, like always in the shot. I didn't do any of that this past weekend. I did a lot of that last year. So if you want to see Rays with that kind of footage, I will have the Rays from last year down in the description because I did a few different videos, different days of that, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was so fun. That place is rad. And what's cool about Rays is if you're a beginner and you're just learning, there's plenty there for you to ride. There's a few different skills areas. I didn't go through the beginner skills area in the video. There's at least two. One that has some pump stuff and little tabletop-y feature, like everything really small and good for beginners. And then there's another one that has like 3 different level drops, and even the biggest of those 3 drops is still pretty low. And then it's got some rocks that you can work on riding through if you like to ride rocks. And then it's got 3 little tabletop jumps that are pretty short and easy to learn and stuff. So it's Rays is excellent for people who want to learn skills and things like that. And then as you improve your skills, you can move into different parts and try the next harder level of things. So there's a lot in Rays. There's a couple of areas I didn't go into much. I went in there just to check them out, but there's the Kink BMX room, sponsored by Kink BMX, if you don't know about that brand. And then behind it, there's a grind room it has all kinds of rails and platforms. That place is pretty cool. There's a Resi landing jump with a regular box jump that has a regular landing side by side. You have to know how to ride a big vert wall to get to those. Foam pit. Keep in mind, if you go there, you can't take rental bikes there, so you have to bring your own bike if you want to play in the foam pit and on the Resi jump. There's just a lot there, it's like it's a pretty amazing place. And definitely if you're a BMX rider and you like park riding, that Kink room, the Resi with the vert wall, the grind room, all of that is like full-on skate park style riding. And then there's the profile room, which is more like a not dirt jump, but jumping room. There's a more advanced line that I'm not quite skilled enough to ride. It has some really big senders in that profile room, the outer line. So there's a lot there. Rays is awesome. So definitely worth your trip. It's in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know. It's worth it. That's all I can say. Appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.